From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Now at 6, car buyers are racing for a deal before it's too late.
Those timelines kind of been sped up a little bit because they want to make sure they can get it while the deals are there.
Why more tariffs are keeping dealerships in the Bay Area busy today.
And violence in Santa Rosa schools forcing school leaders to act.
We've had a few instances where students have used a knife on another student.
The plan to bring police presence back on campus.
And despite trying times, the trans community is finding ways to celebrate.
This event is to celebrate our accomplishments, our joy, our resilience, and beyond.
The party being thrown ahead of tomorrow's Trans Day of Visibility.
Live from the CBS studios in San Francisco, I'm Brian Hackman.
And I'm Andrea Nakano. Bay Area car dealerships were packed this weekend with new tariffs from the Trump administration set to dramatically increase the price of cars.
Potential car buyers spent the weekend browsing local dealerships to avoid sticker shock. Some even drove off with a brand new car. Don Lynn has the story from Fremont.
All the car shoppers I've talked to say yes, they're well aware of the 25% tariffs. It's why they're here, and the urgency pushed many people to buy today. A big smile from Edgar Cruz as he test drives the Subaru WRX in Fremont.
A nice car to drive.
Nice car to drive.
Yeah.
He's been doing his homework on the WRX for the last 3 months and finally decided to come into Premier Subaru of Fremont on Sunday.
The plan was exactly to get it in 2 months. 2 months, so yeah, because of the tariffs, I had to decide to get it.
Today?
Yeah, to get it today. So that was the main driver for my decision.
He says a 25% increase would add more than $8,000 to his dream car and essentially price him out. The WRX is made in Japan. The Trump administration's 25% tariffs on vehicles imported into the U.S. will go into effect on April 3rd. Parts shipped from foreign countries will also face a 25% import tax no later than May 3rd.
They might be shopping for a few months, you know, and those timelines kind of been sped up a little bit because they want to make sure they can get it while the deals are there. It kind of creates a little bit of urgency.
Auto industry experts say every make will be affected by the tariffs. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports even Ford and GM have cars and parts that are imported from Mexico and Canada.
The tariffs going into effect on Wednesday or Thursday, I think motivated her a lot more, and she found this car.
In the Fremont Auto Mall area, car dealerships say the tariffs would not affect the existing inventory. Many lots saw extra foot traffic and more serious buyers this weekend. Shoppers say they don't want to pay more for a car.
Very happy. This will be our second Subaru that we've owned.
Edgar is also excited to go from a car shopper to a new owner.
I'm already planning where I'm gonna take the car to, maybe to the mountains or to the beach.
Industry experts say the tariffs will likely drive up used car prices as well. They say it's simple. It's about supply and demand.
All right, thank you, Dawn. In other news, one person was taken to the hospital after a shooting in San Francisco. Police are investigating if 3 other people admitted into a hospital were potentially connected to the same incident. This happened near Middle Point Road and Ironwood Way in the Bayview just before 5 o'clock tonight. A person with a gunshot wound was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and police say 3 other victims were self-admitted into the hospital. Their injury status is unknown. No arrests have been made at this time. And over in San Jose, an investigation is underway after a person was shot and killed. It happened on Locust and West Virginia streets yesterday. The area was still blocked off this morning by police, but has now reopened. No word on any suspects or motive in that case.
Well, the big spring chill in the Bay today, along with heavy winds throughout the day. While it was definitely quieter than your average Sunday at the beach, the locals didn't seem to mind. In fact, this couple was totally fine with it.
Yeah, it's nice. Not bad.
It doesn't bother you at all?
No, it doesn't. No.
What do you
We just have an extra jacket in our bag if it gets too chilly, and umbrellas with us if it gets rainy. Yeah, exactly. So prepared for everything today.
Well, to be fair, it's hardly ever sweltering at Ocean Beach.
No, but it was almost 80 degrees like a week ago.
That's the thing. And next weekend, we're going to be back in the mid-70s with nothing but sunshine.
Okay, I'm all for that.
But the next 2 days are what we just saw and then some. It's going to be a little more impressive from the rainfall standpoint over the next 2 days. Look what's going on right now. We got a few light showers that are showing up only in the North Bay. There's really not a whole lot else that's happening here right now. If I show you what's coming over the next couple of days, you'll see the difference. By the time we get to the very early morning hours of our Monday, we're back in this again. Now, these are going to be somewhat heavier showers, but they're going to be short-lived. And if you look at Monday, this is 1 o'clock. Most people are sleeping through that. But the thing is, they're just going to keep coming. Now we get into Monday, and we're looking at like late morning, early afternoon, and they keep coming overhead. You get plenty of breaks of blue sky on Monday, but every now and then, one of these isolated cells is going to march through. You'll get a brief little downpour. Could get a good little clip of rain in like a 30-minute period, and then it's gone. And it's going to be a bit windy during this whole time frame as well, so that means the wind chill is sticking around. This goes for 2 days. We're going to look at it in detail over the next 2 days, and then I'll show you that impressive change for next week, and I'll see you in a few minutes. For now, guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Darren. Tomorrow is Trans Day of Visibility. It's a day to raise awareness and celebrate resiliency of the transgender community. And events have been happening all across the Bay Area this weekend. The Green Room in San Francisco is holding its annual celebration tonight.
Amanda Harry is there live with a preview of tonight's party.
Yeah, everyone is here for the same reason. They want to celebrate the trans community and create a space of joy. Now, the doors just opened at 6, but you can see we already have some people here getting ready for the celebration and getting some front row seats because there's going to be some music going on here. Trans Day of Visibility isn't until tomorrow, but the celebration has already started. This is the 16th year, and I'm told it's grown each year. The event at the Green Room in San Francisco is highlighting transgender achievements and initiatives. The event is put on by a collection of community organizations, including San Francisco Trans March. One of the organizers says many trans events are about death, but this one is about life. There will also be community nominated and voted awards.
So this event is just a moment to, I would say, like calibrate and celebrate, to refuel us and to guide us as we celebrate those who have already put in a lot of work. Just for us to be here today, to be able to talk to you all.
Doors opened here at 6, like I said. The actual show, though, won't start until 7 p.m. The event is free and it is open to the community. We'll be here all evening and we'll have a full report for you at 11 p.m.
Already in San Francisco, that's Amanda Harry. Amanda, thank you.
Now, in honor of Trans Day of Visibility, one barbershop in the Mission District is offering free haircuts to others in the trans community who might feel unwelcomed or intimidated by traditional barbershops.
And Kevin Coe has his story.
When someone needs a fade in the Mission, you might find them in this chair.
You still want to keep the tail in the back? Yeah.
Twinks is a barber at Steel and Strand, a modern barbershop offering the classic fade, something Twinks himself remembers having troubles finding.
Going into a salon and like needing to get a haircut for myself, like when I was first transitioning, and I felt like I didn't get that fade that I wanted.
During his transition, Twinks knew he wanted a fade, but he also knew all the tales of barbershop lore.
The dynamic of the barbershop where you walk in, it's like people always feel intimidated or feel like they can't come into a barbershop to feel good or get cut because you have people sizing them up, looking them up and down like, oh, like you don't belong in this barbershop or you don't. It's already hard enough being a black and brown man in the community, and then you add being trans to that, it makes it like even more difficult to want to come into a barbershop and get cut.
Even though he went through it himself, Twinks didn't realize how common those uncomfortable introductions were until he started hearing his clients tell the same story.
You know, he was like, I was scared to come into a barbershop, not gonna lie. The shop over there, he was like, I kept getting like, you know, kind of like sized up, like feeling all that like masculine testosterone energy.
That's when he decided to post this, offering free haircuts for the entire month of March for any trans boys.
I just put it out there to be like, you know, if I could just help one person or two people feel confident about their identity and the way that they look, that was really my goal. but I didn't think it was gonna blow up the way that it did.
Twinks has gotten DMs from people across the country and even from Canada asking for a haircut. Twink says he'll continue offering free haircuts to trans youth on a different day monthly for his community and its existence.
No one's gonna stop me being trans. No one's gonna stop me from being me. Like, I know who I am and I know who I identify as, and it doesn't matter what like the world sees us as. Like, you're not normal, you're sick in the head, or whatever they say about transgender, you know, the trans community. But like, whether the president says it, not president says it, your neighbor, your whoever, you know, says it, that's not gonna define who you are.
For anyone who feels left out, Twinks is hoping to fade them back in, one cut at a time.
Well, coming up, how this youth hockey team went from holding practice inside abandoned mall to getting a spot in the Nationals.
And a wager between mayors ahead of a new Battle of the Bay. That's coming up.
Perfect example there. That's a spotty shower moving out over the west side of the city. Wanted to show you why we've got 2 days of this and why there's a chance some of this could come in the form of an isolated thunderstorm. If you take a look at the satellite today, look at the storm sitting out here off the coast. So you kind of see where the west coast is. We sit right about here. This is our storm. Now, what we're on right now is just the leading edge where we're getting kind of these moderate, short little showers. What matters more is the center of the storm there. Let me show you this in a different way, because we can put this into a little bit more high resolution when we look at the same satellite image over here. Put it up here in the monitor. You see that spinning curlicue now that we animate it? You see the motion on it? Let's take a look at that with slightly more of a slightly better close-up view, because that's going to determine how tomorrow is going to go in terms of the unique aspect of the way the showers will come in. So if you've got, here we are, we're waiting for this. That's why this is 2 days. It's going to take 2 days for that to come overhead. When we look at it on the water vapor again, now you can really see how tightly wound this is. That's where thunderstorms live. Get in the center of that, there's more convective energy to work with. And when we put the futurecast on it, watch what happens to the center of that low. We're getting our showers here for the next few days. All the while, that thing is working its way towards us, and then it comes through Tuesday. So Tuesday, the odds for the thunderstorms will go up just a bit from where they will be over the course of the next, say, 24 hours. Speaking of which, let me show you what the next 24 hours will look like. We were looking at the radar on here a moment ago, and for right now, there's just a few spotty showers sitting way up there on the far northwest part of Sonoma County. Let's get that wide view now so I can show you what the futurecast has to say about what is coming our way. And when we watch this, I'm going to play it forward just from now, and we're going to let it play forward to just about 2 in the morning tomorrow. So you'll see the showers show up out here as we get towards about midnight. They come overhead and they start to get a little bit better organized here. And then they work their way through the North Bay between like midnight and 2 a.m. And then now, here comes the first little line of rain. So this is the first little band where you notice the intensity of the rain is picked up. But even at that, by that point, most of us are sleeping. So let's take it forward from there and watch the futurecast throughout the rest of Monday and all of Tuesday. And it's really not going to change much. There's the starting point we were just looking at. Now let's watch that go, and we'll just let it play through Monday. You get some breaks of blue sky on Monday, but every once in a while an isolated shower comes through, occasional brief downpour. It moves out. You get more blue sky, and then another one comes through. We're already into Tuesday, and it's still going just like that. And then on Tuesday, watch some of these lines. Remember, this is when the center of that low is going to come right overhead. That's when some of these become a bit more numerous. Look at this back kind of organized line. This might be one of the more likely times here where we see one of those isolated thunderstorms. And then as we get into the late afternoon, quiets down and leaves, and we're done. Now, if you just broad brush the rainfall totals from this system, they don't tell you the whole story, because in general, we get about a ½ an inch of rain. But if you get one of those cells right over your part of the bay, you get a briefer period of heavy rain, the total's going to be higher. And that's where kind of the tricky nature of this comes in terms of a rainfall forecast. Also, if you notice the wind out there today, let's take a look at the way the wind's going to play out over the course of the next 2 days. We've got our breeze on here now, but you're going to see the intensity pick up as we get into tomorrow, right around noon, 1 o'clock. That's when we start getting a little bit more of a stronger push here. Not bad enough. It's not like we've got any wind advisories, but we will have gusts to 30 miles an hour. And that'll be pretty much Bay Area wide. I think the number one thing about this is wind chill. It's going to make it feel cold. This is not bad enough to break tree branches or knock trees down, but it's enough that if you thought today was windy, next 2 days are going to be pretty much just like that, if not a little bit stronger, and it's going to feel cold as a result. By Wednesday, we're done. Then we get into Thursday, Friday, we start clearing out. Look at the weekend. Daytime highs climbing up into the mid-70s by the time we get there. There was a time in this forecast, guys, where we were concerned we might get some rain back here. That's totally off now. It's an inside slider. That storm's going to miss us. And now it's more about the sunny skies and warming the temperatures up into the mid-70s by the time we get towards, say, next weekend. All right, guys, back to you.
All righty, Darren, thank you. A San Francisco youth hockey team has a lot to celebrate. The Golden State Elite Eagles are heading back to the Nationals.
Just 2 years ago, the team claimed the state championship. Our John Ramos caught up with the Golden State Elite Eagles ahead of their big game in New York.
When you talk about championship hockey in the Bay Area, some people might think you're talking about the Sharks, or would they? Sorry guys, this year you're just not part of the elite.
Okay, ready? So we're here in San Francisco just gearing up for 18AA Nationals.
For most of the players on the Golden State Elite, every game is an away game. Heck, for most of them, even the practices are away.
For this team especially, we do a lot of travel here in the Bay Area. We have people all the way from Sacramento down to Monterey. And so we do a lot of travel for practices, for games. And so we're just really excited to get out to Utica and compete.
The Elite is a team of players 18 and under. They won the state championship last weekend and are the only team in Northern California to qualify for the national tournament in Utica, New York, starting on Wednesday. Ranked in the top 8 in the country, some team members travel for hours to hold practices in the basement of an abandoned mall in Cupertino. But through it all, co-captains Benjamin Dixon and James Murphy say they not only keep their perspective, but also their sense of humor.
Well, I think the most important thing is friendship. I think friendship's the number one, and it kind of starts with us, and it feeds off to everyone else here.
Yeah, I mean, as the captains of the team, it's important for us to make sure there's no separate groups, and really.
It's clear they enjoy themselves, but head coach Casey O'Sullivan says while the Eastern teams may have more resources, they all share the same passion for the game.
We talk about having each other's back, both on ice and off the ice, and it's the most important thing you can have as a team.
When one of the players goes down or one's having a bad game, all the rest of his teammates are there to pick them up, and that's a true testament to this team, is that together that they've been very successful even through the ups and downs of everything.
And goalie Tom Cale says it's nice to know the team is watching his back, as well as some really impressive shoulder pads.
It's pretty easy to be a goalie on this team. You know, all the forwards, we block shots, we back check. The defense have been playing really well in front of us. Going into nationals, I know that I have to do my job to make their job easy for them, because I know they're going to make my job easy for me.
But nothing will be easy about this trip. The coach says Eastern teams play a tougher, more physical style, and GS Elite is practicing to adapt to that.
I'm just getting ready to play those harder and bigger teams. A lot of hitting today, a lot of physicality, just to prepare us for that type of hockey when we get to New York.
The team heads out Monday night, all leaving from different airports near their homes. And while they may have to get used to hitting the other team, they know all about hitting the road.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Welcome back. We're going to begin with the aftermath of the earthquake in Myanmar and Thailand. The death toll continues to climb following Friday's magnitude 7.7 quake. The death toll is now at 1,700 and climbing.
But according to one USGS estimate, the death toll could top 10,000 as recovery continues. Bradley Blackburn has the latest on the rescue efforts.
In Myanmar, rescue crews are using their hands to pick through rubble, hoping for more moments like this, as a survivor was pulled out from the pile. Myanmar's second largest city, Mandalay, was the epicenter of Friday's 7.7 magnitude quake, leveling parts of the city. On Sunday, a 5.1 magnitude aftershock hit, raising concerns about already damaged structures. Survivors are being treated in makeshift hospitals as officials fear the death toll will continue to rise. Bridges collapsed and roads were badly damaged in this impoverished country that's in the midst of a civil war. Some early relief aid from India arrived Saturday. China and Russia have also sent relief. And despite cuts to USAID, President Trump promises the U.S. will provide help.
It's terrible what's happened. It's a real bad one, and we will be helping. We've already spoken with the country.
The quake rattled buildings hundreds of miles away in Thailand, where the death toll has risen to at least 17. In Bangkok, a hospital was forced to relocate patients to an athletic facility. This high-rise was under construction when it was brought to the ground, and dozens of people believed inside are still unaccounted for. Crews have been listening for signs of life as families gather nearby. It could take days to reach any survivors.
That's not even,
Well, that's while the earthquake's in process. Martinez man is happy to be back in the U.S. following the 7.7 earthquake. But it shook in Myanmar. I mean, the epicenter was in Mandalay in Myanmar, but it took down buildings 600 miles away in Bangkok. Cody Clements was with a tour bus in Bangkok when the ground began to shake. And as for what went through his mind?
Just to remain calm, because you don't want to overreact in that situation. You know, there's 36 of us. People started hey, we have to get off the bus. I'm like, no, we shouldn't get off the bus. I think this is the safest place to be.
Clemens said the tour group then had to spend hours outside in scorching 90-degree heat until it was safe to go indoors. He was able to check in with his loved ones.
Right after it happened, got on my phone, shot a text to the family, hey, big earthquake, Thailand, I'm okay.
And an update on the story we brought you yesterday. Yumi Thaw, a local woman who works at the Burmese Kitchen in Richmond, heard back from her family last night. They are safe, but have been experiencing aftershocks in the area. These are photos Thaw sent of the damage. And back in December, Northern California was hit with a 7.0 magnitude earthquake. And you might remember it triggered a tsunami warning. In the Bay Area, that was quickly lifted. The warning caused this to happen, a gridlock on Highway 1. Now those living along the coast want a better system next time the Bay Area faces a real tsunami threat.
When she closes up shop for the day at her Pacifica Cafe, it's hard for Ginger Davis not to smile.
The ocean is just amazing. It's always been my favorite thing.
Her Chit Chat Cafe is about as close to the water as you can get. 99% of the time, it's a blessing. But when a tsunami warning buzzed her phone on December 5th last year,
We're obviously right on the water, so it was a big concern.
she left and got to higher ground. But she remembers this well. Highway 1 packed with bumper-to-bumper traffic, people trying to get away from the coast.
One of the things that was a big issue at that time was getting out. It was just a mess. It was just a mess.
She says obviously it was great a tsunami didn't hit, but communication about what to do and where to go wasn't great. And that needs to change. San Mateo County leaders agree. Officials just unveiled a new interactive dashboard they hope will help in the future.
This tool is actually done in direct response to community feedback.
Supervisor Ray Mueller says it shows people their risk level and helps identify the safe paths to higher ground so they know where to go.
And what happened on that day back in December is many people ran to Highway 1, which is actually in the tsunami zone, and were stuck in traffic, when they could have just gone a few blocks east.
And so they were traveling all over the coast in panic, trying to figure out if they were safe and if who they loved were safe.
When the tsunami warning came through, Mueller says a similar online state resource couldn't handle the web traffic.
So what happened with the state dashboard is so many people went to it, it actually failed under the traffic that came to it. By having the information housed here on our servers, that's not going to happen.
More public signage is also in the works. Mueller believes the county is already more prepared and hopes this tool helps residents feel better prepared as well.
In just over 3 months to have this site up and to have these signs coming, where you can see our emergency management department is working at light speed.
I'm just hoping it goes better next time.
Living along the coast, Davis knows there will be a next time.
We live in earthquake country, and tsunamis start from the shifting of the earth.
And when that happens, she hopes the county's action now does actually pay off.
Having a plan for evacuating with cars, where to go, what roads to take.
She'd like to see that message communicated enough so people understand it, so chaos along the coast doesn't happen the next time.
Well, anyone who remembers Dr. Kildare is mourning the death of actor Richard Chamberlain. He died in Hawaii following complications from a stroke. His career spanned 6 decades and included 4 Emmy nominations. Along with Dr. Kildare, which ran on NBC from 1961 to 1966, he returned to big roles during the age of the first network miniseries, The Thornbirds, and the original run of Shogun in 1980. He is survived by his longtime partner, actor and producer Martin Rabbit. Richard Chamberlain was 90 years old.
Well, coming up, violence in Santa Rosa schools forcing school leaders to act.
We've had a few instances where students have used a knife on another student.
A plan to bring police presence back on campus, coming up. Welcome back on this Sunday evening. In Sonoma County, Santa Rosa school leaders have approved a program that will bring police officers back to campus. The 4-2 vote comes after a string of violent incidents at several high schools there.
And just last month, police say a 15-year-old student stabbed a classmate at Elsie Allen High School. Other incidents include students found with guns and knives, but not everyone agrees with this plan. Our Kenny Choi takes a look at both sides of the debate.
A string of violent attacks over the years, including a recent stabbing on the campus of Elsie Allen High School last month, is prompting some district officials to push for the return of law enforcement officers onto campuses.
We've had a few instances where students have used a knife on another student while on school grounds. And that's just a very traumatic situation to have for any of our students.
Jeremy Della Torre is a parent and school board trustee who believes bringing back school resource officers from the Santa Rosa Police Department is a critical step to address campus safety concerns.
The greatest resource that the SRO brings is building relationships and community.
But opponents say there's a lack of trust between certain members of the community and law enforcement.
They're closer to a pair of handcuffs than they are to a medical or mental health professional.
Angel Ortega is a Santa Rosa resident. He and others are advocating for more intervention staff and outreach specialists instead of bringing back law enforcement officers.
They're on the front lines every day. They know these students better than everyone else, and they know the challenges they're facing.
It's unclear how the program will be paid for. It will cost an estimated $1.8 million with an additional $400,000 for equipment startup costs. The city previously paid for the program through a public safety sales tax, but it's been almost 5 years since the board voted not to have SROs on campus amid protests related to police violence.
All right, coming up in this forecast, we got to talk about what's up with all that lightning up there. There's a lot going across the northern half of the state. We're pretty quiet here right now. I've just got a few showers showing up in the North Bay. But the next 2 days are probably going to be a bit more active. We'll explain what our chances are to see that lightning here. I'll show you where it's coming from. And if there's time, good news about snow in the Sierra. We'll look at all that coming up in the forecast.
Well, it looks lovely out there.
Yeah.
We'll have more of the same.
Damp. In fact, I'll show you what that looks like right now on the radar. Not very impressive here. We're getting some light rain, but what we're waiting for is Monday and Tuesday. Because Monday and Tuesday are going to be more impressive than this. You can see there are a few light showers up there in the North Bay, and the stuff we were looking at over the city right now didn't even really show up on the radar. That was a live view, by the way, from the Salesforce Tower looking out west. You don't see much here. You want to see a lot more. Look at the bigger picture. There's a lot of lightning going on right now across the northern third. That's live radar, just like this is on the virtual map. It's just if you just look at our little corner right now, you miss what's going on with this storm. It's got a lot of lightning and a lot of energy to work with. We're not going to get that much, but I think there's a chance we could get some of it. Let me show you just another quick reason why. So if you look at us, right, here we are. Look at the center of the storm up there. You see that big spinning mass of clouds up there? That is the center of this low, which is coming our way. Let me put that in the monitor over here just so we can pull out a few more details on it and maybe just get a little more specific in terms of why Monday and Tuesday are going to be a little more impressive than what we've had so far. If you look at the center of that on high-resolution satellite, and we switch now, look at it on the water vapor, it also helps you pick out how tightly wound center of low pressure is. Here we are. A lot more thunderstorms live in that. And if we put that then into the futurecast, watch what happens. We've got our rain here, but the center of the low all the while is lurking towards us, and then it gets here on Tuesday. Now that's going to help make sense when we get to the Tuesday forecast here, and you can see how the screen's going to light up a little more when we get to Tuesday morning. If we come back to the here and now, instead of looking at the radar for the right now moment, I'm going to play us forward till about 2 a.m. Watch what shows up out here over the next few hours. This will be kind of the leading edge tonight. So by like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., we start to see some of the better rain pick up in the North Bay, and then it gets down to the Golden Gate. And I'm going to pause it right here. This is the pre-dawn hours of tonight. Most of us will sleep through this. But this depiction is going to keep replaying itself for the next 2 days. These isolated areas where the rain comes in, you get a brief little uptick in rain, nothing crazy, but it'll be a bit heavier, and then it'll move on. Let's go back to the forecast imagery, and I'll show you what this will look like now over the course of 2 days worth of that. So here's the close-up view now on the forecast. This is where we just left off. There's that line coming across. That's Monday in the pre-dawn darkness. We're just going to let it play now. This is all day Monday. Get into Monday afternoon. Maybe there's some breaks of blue sky on here. But you also have isolated showers that come right through and darken the sky and give you a brief little downpour. It'll go like that for Monday and Tuesday. There's Tuesday now, same story. Now watch, they get a little more numerous on Tuesday, and then they kind of pick up a little bit more organization where you see like beautiful bullseyes like that. This is where you have the potential for some of these thunderstorms. This is getting us now into Tuesday late morning. Thankfully, by the time we get to the afternoon, when the direct sunlight would want to add a little energy to this, most of the ability for these storms to exist is leaving. So once we get into the afternoon, things should start to quiet down. But don't rule out the possibility on Tuesday, we get one of those little isolated thunderstorms. It's not going to look anything like what we're seeing now in the northern third of the state, but you know, the odds are low, but we could get one. Rainfall totals are not huge. We'll probably come away with about a ½ inch of rain on this, not a lot. And then by Wednesday, we're done. Meantime, look what this does for snow in the Sierra. It's a much better snowmaker than it is a rainmaker here. And these numbers almost look a little too high. One thing about this is snow level is going to get fairly low, down to 3,000 feet. This is a cold system. Keep that in mind here at home, too. I showed you the wind in the last visit. For the next 2 days, like 25 to 30 mile an hour winds here at home. There's enough cold air in this system. Not only do we get snow level in this Sierra down to 3,000 feet, but you're going to feel a little cooler here, too, at home. You're going to have a bit of a wind chill factor to deal with. And it's nice to see the snow coating much of the Sierra like this over the course of the next 2 days. We are a little below average right now for snowfall. Here's the course of the winter. The red line is this year. The dark blue is where average is. We're not there. We're a little below it. Big snow survey is coming up on April 1st. And we might get to average. So good news thanks to that storm. The other thing that we just need to discuss is the end of the 7-day forecast. Notably warmer by next weekend. If you want sunny and mid-70s, that is coming back. All right, Andrea, back to you.
All right, thank you, Darren. Up next, anxiety among veterans as federal cuts threaten health services. We'll be right back. Yesterday marked 50 years since the last U.S. troops pulled out of Vietnam. Today, many service members are suffering from mental and physical health problems and getting access to health care.
At the same time, President Trump's mass layoffs at the Department of Veterans Affairs could have a huge impact here in the Bay Area. An East Bay veteran with long-term health issues says he depends on his local VA clinic. And Suji Nam has his story.
77-year-old Craig Pratt prioritizes his health at home. He says he tries to exercise every day.
Aerobic exercise like the throwing machine here or strength.
He leads an active lifestyle, especially with his medical conditions.
Heart disease and cancer are given to me at the San Francisco VA medical facility.
Craig served as a Marine in the Vietnam War in 1965. He was 17 years old. During that time, he was exposed to Agent Orange. That and his long-term health issues are the reason for his frequent visits to the Oakland VA clinic.
We signed up to make sacrifices that, even now, 50 plus years later, have given us some consequences.
Craig says that throughout the years, he has developed meaningful relationships with doctors who are also active or retired military.
They listen, they understand common experiences that me and other veterans have.
But now he is concerned for his fellow veterans and the doctors that treat them. The Trump administration announced its plans to cut more than 80,000 jobs within the VA nationwide. The cuts could begin as early as June. There is real fear among clinicians within the VA system. We reached out to several doctors working for Bay Area VAs. Many were fearful to speak with us on record. But we did talk with one longtime local VA doctor who wanted to remain anonymous. We also distorted the audio for privacy purposes.
Myself and my colleagues wonder and worry if we're going to get an email tomorrow that says, "Thank you for your service and here are your retirement papers," or "Goodbye." I don't really know.
They say this is more than just a job.
We are so indebted to them for their years of service, often when they are very young. And then we see the impacts of their service on their health, both mental and physical, and feel deeply indebted to care for them throughout their lives.
And that, like many veterans, each physician has a story.
That is me and my wife many years ago.
Just like Craig shares his story of service and sacrifice.
Can't believe in my heart of hearts that anyone is better at making those decisions than the people who know what it takes to care for veterans.
He says while only time will tell what's going to happen, in the meantime, Craig tells us he will continue to let his doctors know how much he appreciates their service.
The VA says it plans to cut employment by 15% without cutting health care or benefits.
For now, we appreciate your watching. 60 Minutes is next, and we'll see you back here at 11 o'clock.
Until then, the news continues streaming on CBS News Bay Area. Good night.
Good night.